Hi everyone. So this is Narc Alert. Michael Shkreli. Just the name sounds narky to me. So this guy is, I'm sure a lot of people have heard about him. This is his face I have up on there. I didn't want to use any of the news footage, but you can definitely look it up on YouTube to watch his interviews. So did I say Michael? Sorry, Martin Shkreli is the CEO of Turing Pharmaceuticals. This is the pharmaceutical company that has inherited by a buyout a drug called Daraprim. So I want to talk a little bit real quick about Martin. I keep saying Martin Shkreli. He's 33 years old. He was a former hedge fund manager, and he recently became the CEO of Turing Pharmaceuticals, that he presents as being some type of startup pharmaceutical company. But it's not a startup in the traditional sense, in the sense of where funding is coming from. Because he's trying to paint a picture of a fledgling company that needs money, and he's trying to, as most narcissists do, especially when it comes to public image, he's trying to paint a picture that justifies his shitty, morally apprehensible, horrible behavior and decisions as the CEO of this company, which he can't really do. And I'm going to go into some of his narc tactics that he uses to try and justify it. So he paints it as a startup. It's not really a startup in the true traditional sense. A lot of money is coming from all over the place, and I know that there was a couple of companies that were in the biotech pharmaceutical industry that have that are investment partners or investing in Turing Pharmaceuticals. So no, it's not a startup fledgling pharmaceutical company as Martin Shkreli wants everybody to think, because he's just using his narcissistic narc tactics to try and paint a picture for his morally apprehensible, disgusting decisions and behaviors. So, okay, about the drug real quick. And what makes him so disgusting? So, Daraprim was a drug that treats toxoplasmosis. And toxoplasmosis is caused by a parasite that is found in like raw meat or undercooked meat and contaminated drinking water. And it affects really the most vulnerable patients, those with HIV/AIDS, those that are very old, elderly, and those with cancer, to name a few. It's a very small group of patients, but toxoplasmosis is very dangerous and deadly without proper treatment. So his company, Turing Pharmaceuticals, they inherited the drug. The drug was created in 1953. Nothing has ever been altered on it, because it was an old drug that was serving a very small, vulnerable group of patients. It didn't have a lot of money in it, and even though there's no patent on it, okay, it's never been competitively produced because there's no need to. It wasn't a mass-produced pharmaceutical. It wasn't needed for the masses. There was no money in it. It wasn't patented anymore. It hasn't been patented, I don't think, for 30-something years. GlaxoSmithKline, or whatever, had the drug previously, and they produced it for $13.50 a tablet. Okay, so this meant that the normal course of treatment for a patient that suffered from toxoplasmosis was paying, or their insurance company was paying, roughly approximately $1,130. So $1,130. He has since taken the drug over, started producing Daraprim, and changed it overnight from $13.50 a tablet, a pill, to $750 a pill, for absolutely no market justification, no true justification within the usage of the drug. And so now, are we going to see competitors producing the drug? Who knows? let's be honest, the pharmaceutical industry is so hijacked and controlled by the very rich pharmaceutical companies and their CEOs that probably not. So here we are, a vulnerable group of patients, very small group of patients. The tablets go, regular treatment goes from about $1,130 to roughly approximately $63,000 overnight. $63,000. For some patients, it can go as high as $630,000 to treat toxoplasmosis. Again, a parasite, an infection that we have been able to treat here on planet Earth for people since 1953, when this drug first came out, and Daraprim has not changed molecularly, or any basic composition of the drug has stayed exactly the same since 1953. Okay, so Martin Shkreli is such a narcissist, it makes me sick. Not only is he displaying one of the most significant sociopathic and narcissistic traits, which is complete lack of empathy on any level. Because if you had a CEO of a pharmaceutical company, regardless of capitalism and revenue, right? I understand you have to balance, as the way capitalism is designed, you have to balance your investors and your stakeholders, your stockholders, and your board, and the people that you're making money for, including yourself, the company, with morals and values. Now, we have seen in this country, in particular in the last 20 years, in particular since the internet has come out and a lot more information is being leaked to see how it's really being ran, we see that the values and morals component of decisions that companies make is virtually out the window. There's been a lot of proof and research showing that companies are literally looking for people that have cluster B personality disorders to hire, in particular executive, top management, managerial, executive, CEO, CFO, the ones that make the major decisions for the company. They're actually hiring psychologists, psychiatrists, getting testing done, and looking to hire, particularly looking for that trait, a lack of conscience and a lack of empathy. If that doesn't make you sick, I don't know what does. Okay, so here we have this company. He's ran by Martin Shkreli, total narcissist. There's a couple of other things, besides the fact that he has no real justification to raise the prices other than just pure greed. So extreme, one of the most extreme cases we've ever seen, lacking complete empathy, completely being without a conscience. He displays just his mannerisms. One of the biggest things that he's done, and I've seen it, I've watched every single interview I could find of him, I've watched. One of the key traits that he presents that shows without a doubt that he is a narcissist, not just based on his decision, how he goes out. So a lot of CEOs would decide not to face the cameras, especially since they would have some amount of guilt or shame over the fact that all the reporters, all the journalists that are interviewing him, even in mainstream media, are kind of attacking him. This man has no shame. He is absolutely a narcissistic sociopath on every level. And then one of the key things he does that definitely, without a doubt, makes him, that you can tell that he's a narcissistic sociopath, he has this personality disorder, is his Duper's delight grin. Narcissists will so often do this. So for example, a CBS anchor was interviewing him, and he says, quote, "This particular drug is used by a small group of particularly vulnerable patients." So you can see how this move looks, question mark, how greedy this looks. And to which old boy Narc Shkreli responds with, "Yeah, I can see how it looks greedy, but I think there's a lot of altruistic properties to it." He's just pulling shit out of his ass. Literally, he starts talking about how they're going to reinvest all those crazy profits into creating a better drug. Number one, better drug does not need to be created for toxoplasmosis. It works just fine. Number two, it's an out and out lie. He's not going to do it. You could see the grin that he gives after he says that. It's Duper's delight grin. He knows he's not going to do it. He knows he has to say it to look good. And it's like this high, this rush of excitement that narcissists and sociopaths get when they're lying and they're duping a lot of people, especially on national television. And he knows it's complete nonsense. And number three, it is bullshit either way, because in the free market, but in particular in medicine, patients or clients or consumers should not be paying for future product development. That's not how it works. So in pharmaceutical, a patient should be paying for the drug they are currently taking. So whatever research, quote unquote, this is how the pharmaceutical companies justify outrageous prices. Whatever research took to get to that point, whatever investment took to get to that point that you are able to take that drug, that's what you should be paying for. There should not be added tax or added money added to what you're doing for the idea of possible future development. That future development is future revenue / future profit for the pharmaceutical company. How it works is they get investors, they take their own profits, research and develop the drug, and once the drug is then developed, then they reap all the benefits of it on a financial level. So Martin Shkreli is complete. He's full of shit, and I just find it so typical of a narcissist to sit there, tell blatant lies, and you could see the grin. And this is one of the grins at the picture I posted. And at the end of the CBS interview, Shkreli says, "No doubt patients are our first primary stockholder," and basically says that patients are their number one concern. And then he grins, that narc grin, which is that picture, and it's totally what narcissists do when they are lying and they feel glib in that rush of excitement, and they get the duper's delight. And this man cannot be more obvious. I know a lot of people are naturally turned off by him. A lot of people don't like him, even the anchors. But I think there's a big, complete blinders on society as a whole. I know that until I met and married and then divorced and had that horrible experience with my ex-narcissist husband, sociopathic husband, I didn't know. I had been involved with other people in my life that were narcissists and sociopaths, and I didn't even know that at the time. After the one, I talk about her before, the one sociopathic female narcissist that was in my life, that was the pianist, I did buy a book once called The Sociopath Next Door. It's a good book. I knew that idea because when I Googled it, all her traits came up, but it wasn't until I was really in it and really was pounded to the ground and destroyed by my ex-husband and his traits throughout our relationship and after, and researched it, that I had any real clue. And look, I went to school for this stuff. I went to school for psychology, and I took advanced level postgraduate classes with my PsyD, and I knew about it, I knew of it. I didn't realize how pervasive it was. I didn't realize how destructive it was. We barely even talked about it. This is why if you go to a regular therapist for healing from this type of narcissistic abuse or dealing with a sociopath and the destruction that they have on you, the trauma they create, this is why most therapists are totally ineffective and probably make it worse. So Martin Shkreli, total Narc Alert. I will post more in public figure narcissists and sociopaths in my Narc Alert series. All right, everybody. I hope everyone's well. Namaste.